Hello everyone, this is Venom, and we're going to be going over the This Week in Destiny for September 19th, 2024. So we got everything for some new dev insights coming next week. We're going to talk about some Nightfalls and Lost Sector reward updates. We're going to talk about some ability changes, and a few other things this Week in Destiny. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is, we have got a save the date for next week. We've got a dev insight coming up for codenamed Frontiers. Frontiers, of course, is Bungie year 2025. That's what they're calling their expansion, or their 2 expansions they're going to be doing. Of course, we found out that they're going to be 2 expansions per year, 2 mid-sized ones instead of 1 big one. Next year, we've got Frontiers, and the 2 expansions under that are going to be called Apollo and Behemoth. So we're going to have a dev insight. Looks like they're going to be answering some questions. It says, we told you we would have more dev insights in the coming weeks, and we really meant it. On Wednesday, September 25th, we will have a new article delivered directly by the Destiny 2 developers and focused on answering some questions you all have about codename Frontiers. Patience is a virtue, so for now, visit our hub article and give our previous 3 articles a read. And we, of course, went over those 3 articles last tweet I did. Next up, it says upcoming reward changes. And now let's talk about some of the changes coming with episode Revenant. That, of course, is the next episode coming out in a few weeks. It's launching October 8th. We leave you in the incredibly capable hands of the Destiny 2 dev team. This is Morning All, Economy Team here with some updates focused on Nightfalls and Lost Sectors. First, the drop changes for non-adept weapons have been increased in Advanced, Expert, and Master Nightfalls for earning a Platinum and Gold tier upon completion. With this change, non-adept Nightfall weapons are now guaranteed to drop when completing a Platinum run in Master Nightfall, and a 50% chance to drop of its Gold completion. So that's good, we get those numbers. So that is good to know. You can have if you still can't get past the Grand Masters and you want to do a Master, you can get a guaranteed non-adept version by running the Master Nightfall, so getting a Platinum with it. In addition, adept weapon drops from Grandmaster Nightfalls have been slightly increased when getting gold completions, although Platinum remains the best course of action for earning them as completion guarantees a drop. So typically for Grandmasters, and this is just for those who don't do Grandmasters a lot, typically for Grandmasters, when you're doing it, you're not just trying to get past it unless you're just trying to knock out your Grandmasters for the season. Typically, if you're farming weapons for Grandmaster, you are going for Platinum. So if you're not going for Platinum, or if you've been skipping champions and people are wondering, or you're wondering why people are getting mad at you, that's why. When you're doing Grandmasters, since it is a guaranteed chance for that weapon at platform, or at Platinum, you do want to make sure you knock out all the champions. That is kind of how you do that. That's how people in the community actually do those Grandmasters. So keep that one in mind. Now, it is cool they went ahead and increased the non-adept version drop rate as well. Master is still pretty damn hard. So, yeah, if you want to get some of these Nightfall weapons with some unique drops, go ahead and knock those out. But always go for those Platinum runs if you can. The only time you shouldn't be going for Platinum is if you're doing Grandmasters and you have a group and you guys are just trying to get them knocked out. You don't care about farming the weapon that week. You just want to get that tick in the box for your Conqueror and be done. So, that's pretty cool. Now, it says Nightfall Focusing. Zavala's Focus Decoding has also received a minor update in regard to Nightfall weapons. The weekly feature Nightfall weapon and the added version of said weapon have moved to a new feature category with updated costs, okay? The weekly is going to cost an Ingram and a Nightfall Cipher, and the weekly adept is going to be an Ingram, 50,000 Glimmer, and a Nightfall Cipher. Is that actually a change right now? Isn't that about what... They might have just added the Glimmer cost in there, but I think that's already what it costs. Or at the very least, it's not too far from it, so... nothing ground-shaking, nothing earth-breaking there, because they're just going to get its own new tab. That's a big thing there. Lost Sector rewards. Finally, starting in Revenant, the Whirlpool weapons will be farmable in Lost Sectors the very season they're added to the game. Previously, players had to wait until the next season or episode launch to obtain them this way. Lost Sector weapon availability will continue to rotate daily, with the table below showing the rotation for Revenant. And if you want to go ahead and copy this table down and take a look at it, you're going to see the table for rotating weapons come Revenant. So that would be interesting. I do wish they would still add back in the exotic armor, the new exotic armor per season or per expansion into those Lost Sectors. I'm still a little upset that they do not have them in there, but there's only so much you can do. You can't really stop that. They want to go to the new system. I am hoping that they switch back, but as of right now, they have not made any mention of doing so. Alright, so next up it says power band increasing in the next episode. I'm not going to bother reading with the entire thing here. It's just I'm going to be increasing the power cap again. So before they got rid of the power cap increasing each season, it was honestly kind of annoying to have to regrind that, where they've gone back on that now. So the power floor will be 1900, the soft cap 1950, the powerful cap 2000, and the hard pinnacle cap will be 2010 starting at Revenant. So that's all that section is them going back on it. I don't know why. Because it's annoying to have to go regrind that crap every season, especially if you need a little time to catch up, but it is what it is, so there you go. Now, next up, we do have some ability changes. This is the section called Titans Week in Destiny. It says, last but not least, our sandbox team has a hefty update on abilities with a focus on Titans. But remember, all our Guardians are perfect and equally loved, whether they should wear pads the size of a stadium, OU Glimmer that you know is Lost River, or they lecture you about Vex portals on your way to Europa, yada yada yada. Basically, we've got some additional ability updates. Now, Titans got a lot of love for this one. I am a big proponent, and I have said before in past videos that I definitely think that Destiny should and Bungie should kind of lean more into the traditional MMO aspects of some of our Guardians. I'm not saying that it should be, only hunters can damage and only Titans can, tank or heal or stuff like that. Everybody should have like a good mix of abilities, but let's face it, Titans are supposed to be the chunky, the guards, the hefty big boy, the walls. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Warlocks are the smart guys. They're supposed to be the support guys, the healers, and hunters are the guys that are out in the field. They're the damage guys. I like it when Bungie leans into that a bit more, and I like it when they make content that allows them to do so. Right now, Titans have a pretty decent kit as far as defense. It's not used a lot because, unfortunately, right now there's just not a lot of content where that is needed. However, I read through this already, and I am kind of liking where they're going with this, and I'm thinking that these kits are going to be used a bit more. It's going to be really cool to see how these affect the sandbox. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this whole thing. Howdy folks, Gameplay Combat Team here with a preview of what to expect with the launch of Revenant. It's been a minute since our last article back in May, and since then we've seen the launch of prismatic subclasses, which seismically shifted the sandbox landscape. For multiple Warlock buddies to Diamond Lances, as far as the eye can see, we've been extremely pleased to watch players push prismatic to its limits as they combine gameplay atoms in ways that weren't possible before the final shape. Now that the prismatic subclass has had time to settle, we're making some adjustments. We've collected a mixture of player feedback and game data about abilities across the sandbox, and we have a slew of ability changes coming for both prismatic and non-prismatic subclasses alike. We'll cover most of this season's ability changes in this write-up, but you can read the full patch notes when Revenant launches. Now, today we're going to focus on Titan class identity reinforcement, super ability changes, and general ability tuning. So let's get right to it. This is Unbreakable Will. Titans are the bulwarks of their team. They live and die in the front line of battle, barking out orders while never backing down from an encounter. Titans wield defensive staples like Barricade and Stasis Crystals with practice ease. They specialize in doling out life-saving buffs like Void Overshield and Woven Mail to their grateful fire teams. And they throw a mean right hook to boot. But Titans is a class identity that's more than the sum of its fists. We've heard your cries for more depth to Titan gameplay and more viability in high-tier in-game content, and we agree with you. Titans have so much more to give than mere blunt force trauma. They're frontliners, damage mitigators, and battlefield commanders. Now, we don't want to take away from or replicate or replace what the Titan already has. Instead, we want to find non-destructive ways to add depth to the Titan's kit. These kinds of shifts take time, but we're starting down that road in the Revenant. So I'm still having issues talking without my nose starting to back up a bit on me, so bear with me. Now, so starting in Remnant, we're testing a change of barricades and other shields that would give the Titan more of a traditional tank role. I like that. Titan Barricade now taunts enemies in front of the barricade. This taunt only occurs while there's a player standing behind the barricade. I like that. I like that a lot. So this is actually going to taunt enemies around to actually attack the barricade. That's going to draw enemy fire towards the Titan and off of its teammates. That's a way. It's something I didn't think they'd be able to do in Destiny 2, but it's kind of cool that they would actually have like a taunt in Destiny 2. That's amazing. It says this is a substantial change for Titans and for Destiny. For the first time, Titan players can use their defensive abilities to draw enemy fire, thereby shielding their fire team from harm. Now, I do wonder, it says this taunt only occurs while there is a player standing behind a barricade. I wonder if that's for any player behind the barricade. So maybe if the Titan puts down a barricade and a Warlock is behind it, will they be taunting? Is it just them drawn to the barricade or just who's behind it? So that's going to be interesting to find out. The Titan's Unbreakable Shield, which is one of my favorite abilities, and Sentinel Shield Guard also taunt enemies, allowing you to become a mobile aggro magnet. If this change plays well, we're hoping to add this functionality to more of the Titan's defensive abilities, such as Ward of Dawn in the future. I would have thought that'd be one of the first things they added it to, but I am liking the changes so far. I hope that's like an immediate aggro too. I hope it's not like you put it up there and like maybe two enemies look at you. I hope it's an immediate aggro to the Titan. While enemies would typically prioritize bringing down the barricade above all else, there are combat situations where combatants may have higher priorities than the barricade, such as a Vex Wyvern, with a directive to march towards a conflux, or a Cabal Legionary desperately trying to bring down a Guardian in their super. The barricade taunt doesn't turn enemies into mindless zombies, and enemies who are on a mission may prioritize that mission over the barricade. Okay, makes sense. But for the general rank and file enemies, you will see in activities from patrols to raid. It has been quite fun in our playtest. One important detail about this change is that combatants now shoot at the barricade itself instead of at the guardians behind the barricade, making aiming at enemies from behind your barricade safer from before. Again, that is amazing. That is one more way to make the rally barricades great in raids as well too, if the enemies are shooting at those and not you. That is another good way to make that viable. We'll be monitoring this change closely, and you can expect tweaks in the future as we see how these changes play out in the live game. And here's some more ability changes. We're going to go through those. This is Towering Barricade and Rally Barricade. Reduce non-boss combat damage dealt by 50%. Increase splash damage reduction from 20 to 60%. And Barricade now grants moderate damage resistance versus combatants during the cast animation. That's awesome. Now, my favorite part is the Unbreakable changes. Damage blocked by Unbreakable now generate grenade energy. That's going to be potentially spammable Unbreakable shields right there. So right now, your grenade is actually what powers up the Unbreakable skill. So you've got grenade energy, you hold down the grenade button, and you put up your barricade shield. And then if you have certain exotics on, if you are blocking that damage, it could actually give you energy for your super. Well, now such going to give you back your grenade energy. It's going to feed into itself. So that is amazing. That is a great way to continuously tank enemies. I like it. It also says increase max duration. The shield can be held, which means it's going to lower how much grenade energy it actually uses. Combine that with the armamentarium. That means that for those who don't know, with armamentarium you get 2 charges of grenade. As long as you've got 1 full charge, and it doesn't matter how much of that second charge you've got for the grenade, you can activate that grenade. So it's going to last longer. That means it's going to take less energy to actually use, and having any grenade energy coming back into it, this is going to be amazing. That is one I'm very, very excited for. Forward movement speed now slows down briefly when the shield is shot. Makes sense. Reduce Unbreakables through attack damage versus players by 20%. Okay, that's PvP. Increase damage bleed through from players by 15%. Again, PvP. And fully charged Unbreakable attacks will now one-shot barricades in PvP, except when the barricade is only affects a part of Inmost Sight. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It says, while we're here on Unbreakable Titans, we should mention Void Overshield. This is a staple of the Sentinel kit, and we think it could use a little help in PvE to better compete with other damage mitigation options. Void Overshield increases Void Overshield PvE damage resistance from 50 to 70%. That makes it the strongest Overshield for, well, there's not that many Overshields. Okay, it's an Overshield. It's not the regular shield, it's just the Overshields. Okay, that's cool. But increases the Void Overshield PvE damage resistance from 50% to 70%. And increases the maximum effective hit points from 90 to 150. That is a huge, huge boost. I like it. Next up for Prismatic Titan. While Prismatic Titans will inherit all applicable changes to Barricade, Unbreakable, and Sentinel Shield, we're also buffing several other Titan abilities. Okay, so we've got a bunch of other abilities we're going to be upgrading. Consecration, Scorch and Slam will now shatter stasis crystals. Diamond Lance. Diamond Lances will now shatter stasis crystals, which is a huge one. There's a lot of stasis crystals with Titans, and being able to break them easily helps. Slamming a Diamond Lance will grant you and nearby allies 2 stacks of Frost Armor. That's cool. Change a weapon tray HUD to display how many seconds are remaining before Diamond Lances disappear, like a Tango. Okay, that's kind of cool. Knockout. Melee kills now cancel health and shield stun in addition to healing, allowing you to immediately start regenerating. This is a revert over previous nerfs that had too much of a negative impact on PvE. Shiver Strike. This is a big one here. Now attaches a stasis explosive to the target on impact, and this detonation slows players and freezes combatants. Now refunds 80% melee energy on a whiff. That is a huge one. I missed a lot of Shiver Strikes. So you now get 80% of your energy back, and increases the energy recharge by 12.5%. And here's one I really like. Immediately after landing a Shiver Strike attack, the attacker's melee ability is now suppressed 4.5 seconds. So you can go in, bam, melee them, and then they can't hit you for, half a second, which is a huge time for Destiny 2. But the 80% whiff energy back, the 80% refund on melee energy on a whiff, that is a huge one there. It says, while not specifically a Prismatic Titan only option, we know they felt the nerf the most when passive command cooldown was moved for 11 seconds. They basically changed the passive of command from 11 seconds to 4 seconds. And finally, also Titan buff train approaches final destination. Yes, there is more to Titans than brute force, but at the same time, one of the pillars of Titan's class is physical strength. Yada yada yada. For Titan Unpowered Melee, they actually increase the damage against players by 5%, and they increase the damage against PvE combatants by 20%, and increase the stun multiplier. Keep in mind, this is Unpowered Melee, so this is just your regular fist. They increase the damage for it, so that's kind of cool. Going into Warlocks, we got some other changes for them. For Storm Trance, they increase the damage resist from 53% to 58%. Chaos Reach, they increase the damage resistance from 45 to 55, and they fixed an issue where it would not jolt at high frame rates, which that's something I didn't know that it didn't do. And fixed an issue where Chaos Reach would not go through Sentinel Shield's guard or a Seton's barricade. Did not know that. For Nova Warp, increased PvE damage by 20%, increased damage resistance from 51 to 58%, and now any Nova Warp detonate applies volatile regardless of charge duration. Okay, so Nova Warp now applies volatile. Sorry. Now for Hunter, the Golden Gun increased damage against base, elite, and mini bosses combatants by 30%. Basically everybody except bosses. Spectral Blades increase PvE damage by 20% and increase the damage resistance from 47 to 58%. That's huge. For Titans, Glacial Quake. Hallow Storm can be used where Glacial Quake is active. Twilight Arsenal. Thrown axe projectiles now more consistently tracked towards targets closer to the reticle. Increased Twilight Arsenal's axe relic weapon damage versus combatants by 23%. Thunder Crash increased base detonation damage by 33%. That's huge. Fist of Havoc increased damage resistance from 51 to 58. A lot of damage resistance upgrades going on in here. Change how the light attack works under the hood to improve consistency in hitting targets, and slightly increased light attack lunge range and ability to target enemies vertically. For Act 2 of Revenant, we're investigating increasing roaming supers uptime so that they're more available when you need them. Stay tuned for that. That could be a pretty big one. Roaming supers aren't ones you typically use outside of PvP too much. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, roaming supers typically are in the realm of PvP, or for PvE, they're more ad clear. You don't typically use them for a lot of bosses, so for you to keep it on specifically for ad clear, it typically has to be up quite a bit. So, all right, next up it says Space Sliding and Sharp Knives. That is honestly a badass picture runner right there. I might save that. It says, for both Stormcrawlers and Prismatic Warlocks, we want to increase the usability of Lightning Surge. To support this, we're making 2 changes to it. Lightning Surge. The Warlock casts Lightning Surge now has a 50% damage resistance versus Titan's Barricades during the lunge, and casting Lightning Surge now makes you amplify. Excuse me. So that's pretty good. That's pretty nice for Lightning Surge. Since the launch of the Final Shape, Prismatic Hunter has been both a highly used and highly effective subclass, which they just nerfed last week, but it is what it is. According to our data, we made some PvP-focused changes to Prismatic Hunter during the past season, and we're continuing to monitor its PvP performance and make changes necessary. In Revenant, we're making the following changes to Prismatic Hunter and other Hunter subclasses that features these abilities. Now, they say they made a bunch of PvP changes. The problem is that those changes also affected PvE, so we're back in the realm of things getting nerfed in PvP that affect PvE again, which I thought we were past, but for some reason Hunter is the one getting nerfed in PvP and PvE. We'll see if they're going to be chaining some of that shit back now. So first off, we got the Hellfire Spike Prismatic Grenade. Added projectile tracking and aim assist to increase consistency in hitting targets. That'd be nice. Threaded Spectre, increased detonation damage against PvE combatants by 30%. Yes. Swarm Grenade submunitions are now easier for players to shoot down. Swarm Grenade submunitions can now chain detonate other submunitions when destroyed. On the PvE side, the Hunter, wasn't that all PvE right there? I'm very confused here. Because that all sounded like, okay, they had PvE right there, so they have this kind of really weird how it's spread out. On the PvE side, the Hunter combination blow melee in particular has been a little too hot, so we're making some changes to make it more about damage and survivability. Combination blow rescaled healing from a flat 80 per kill to 180, 60, 40 per kill based on a stat count. Okay, no longer clears health and shield stuns like killed, and removes a 1.5 second eternal cooldown on healing. So that's kind of cool. So wrapping up all the combat game. Sorry, wrapping up. That's all the combat gameplay team has to share today. We're hard at work on future releases, and we're more optimistic than ever about the future of Destiny in the sandbox. They're going to say that no matter what the Twid says, no matter what's going on. We're excited to take big swings, make dramatic changes, and deliver new innovations. In the short term, we hope you're looking forward to Remnant as much as we are. Now, that is all the gameplay stuff here. Now, I do got a few more things in the article. They talk about the Nerf Early Access. There's an Ace of Spades Nerf gun coming out. That's going to be pretty cool. They also have a Gallahorn one, which looks pretty cool, too. I never got my hands on it, but it looked pretty cool. They got some art stuff in here. That looks insane. These art pieces look pretty cool. But they talk about some Money Foundation stuff here. They talk about 10 years of orbit music. But basically, yeah, they go through the usual stuff they go after, or they have after their usual Twids. I usually go with gameplay stuff. I don't go with the rest of that, so that's it for me for the Twid this week. So, that being said, we do have some changes to basically all classes for abilities. It looks like Titans are going to be getting a huge buff to the defensive capabilities. This makes me hopeful that Warlocks will get some more support abilities, and then Hunters already do pretty good with damage, but, something else to help them lean into that a little bit more as well. I'd say Titans are the ones that are really lagging behind on support, though. So, once the Titans really have their defensive support down, I say Warlocks need some additional ways to support themselves and their team, some additional healing, and then just some flat bonuses all around. Maybe some damage buffs, maybe some small defensive buffs, more like an overall just general sense of abilities that they can use to support their team versus more specialized damage buffs from Hunter and the defense buffs from Titan. That's what I like to see. I like to see Bungie, like I said, leaning into those more traditional RPG elements and then making those elements usable for the sandbox we've got now, especially their defensive abilities. So that's going to do for this week, guys. Again, this was the This Week in Destiny for September 19th, 2024. Thank you all for coming by. If you like what we're doing, please leave a like on the video. If you love what we're doing on the channel, please sub, and I will see you all on the next video.